One of the worst insults that a professional athlete can receive is overrated. What that usually means is that the player is getting a lot of undeserved praise. NBA fans tend to throw that word around a lot, and here is my list of the most overrated players in the league. At number 7 we have Russell Westbrook. Westbrook is a great athlete and has an amazing future ahead of him, but he is not what most people would want in a point guard. He loves to score, and that mentality seems to surface the most when it is clutch time. He wants to prove that he is an elite player, but there is a problem. He isn't an elite player. His refusal to pass to Kevin Durant for stretches at a time has made him one of the most least popular players in the league, and yet he is still viewed by many as a top point guard. I personally have nothing against him, but he only hurts his team when he does not pass the ball to a top 3 player, Durant. Averaging 24 points a game is great, but he needs to get his assist total up in order to get off this list. At number 6 we have Lamar Odom. Another obvious player here. Odom was considered a steal for the Mavericks this season, and many thought he would help lead them to one of the top seeds in the league. To put it lightly, that hasn't exactly worked out well. He has averaged 6 points a game on an awful 35% shooting. This is also considering that he is averaging over 20 minutes a game for the season. Every single one of his numbers dropped, and he is now listed as inactive for the Mavericks, and it's expected to stay that way for the rest of the season. It will be very interesting to see what is the next team that will take an interest in him and whether he will come back to form. Until then, he is the very definition of overrated. Number 5, Dwight Howard. This might seem like a ridiculously huge stretch, but hear me out. Dwight Howard is the best centre in the league, but too often the media paints it in such a way as to make it seem like no one else is on his level or catching up. In the same sense, many think that Howard is the undoubted favourite to win Defensive Player of the Year, with no real competition there either. Both of the statements are wrong. For the past few years, multiple centres have come out and showed that they are ready to move up and be elite level while challenging Howard for the top spot. However, the main reason he is on this list is because of the lack of improvement. The gap between him and the others does not need to close, but he has shown little to no progress over the last few years. His numbers have stayed almost exactly the same since 2008. He's improved a tiny bit here and there, but nothing which he did not undo the next year. Dwight works hard, but he has never tried to expand his game. At number 4 we have Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson is a solid player who can take over games with his well-rounded play. With that said, he signed a contract in 2010 that will earn him over $120 million. This year alone he is set to make $18 million. That is more money than both LeBron James and Kevin Durant. Simply put, Johnson is not on their level, but makes more money. At number 3 we have Monta Ellis. Monta Ellis is an interesting player. To me, he is one of the best scorers in the NBA and also one of the fastest players in the league. The problem is that he is only 6'3". That is very small for a shooting guard. He doesn't have the body of Dwayne Wade, who is 6'4", to get away with being shorter, and also, like Wade, has had some injury bugs in his career. He is a willing passer, but not to the point where he could play point guard very well. If he was just about 3 inches taller, he could be one of the top players in the NBA. Ellis's game style revolves around his speed and driving ability, and that has been very straining on his small frame. He is overrated in the sense that a lot of teams often pursue him in hopes that he will score in loads for them. After they get him, to see that he spends a lot of his time just dribbling out the shot clock or sitting on the bench in a suit, he has not found a place where he can truly fit to the point where games are won. Maybe at some point he will, but until he is nothing more than a shooting guard trapped in a point guard's body. Number 2, Andrew Bynum. Bynum is a great centre, all the while one of the more immature players in the league. The biggest problem I have with him is his media coverage. Yes, the man has put up one great season and has not dealt with his usual injury problems, but the hype about him needs to die down a little bit. Before there can be talk of him getting better than Dwight Howard, he first needs to put in 2 consecutive seasons showing good health and consistent production. I think he will be a great player, but I am by no means ready to crown him the best big man in the league. At number 1 we have Carmelo Anthony. Another great player who is not on the right team. When the Knicks picked up Amari in free agency, they should have put player around him to complement him, not another dominant scorer. Anthony is the type of player a team can be built around, and the same can be said for Amari. However, they should never find themselves on the same team. They both want plays called for them, want scoring opportunities, and of course neither of them plays defense. On the same team, they are two black holes that will not pass the ball up when they get it. This was obviously an attempt to counter the Miami Heat, but they missed a key factor as to why that experiment worked. LeBron, Wade and Bosh are all willing to move the ball around, and while their chemistry has not been perfect, they have been very successful. The Knicks are not the Heat, and because of their poor management, Melo is stuck looking like an overrated player who I have put on this list. Anyways guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. If you did enjoy this one, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, share the video, and I will see you in the next one.